But I feel like I'm sitting in a pretty good spot. I got two picks coming up back to back, and those two guys have to pick. But Dart, Golden, Burden, Higgins, Trey Harris, Scattaboo, and Jack Beck are all still there. So I'll take two of them, you know?
Yeah. Well, I really want to take, I don't know if we're talking about it. I'm ready to talk about it. I wanted to take Golden
Yeah.
at the 10,
Hmm.
and I really want to take Harvey as well. But the deal with, I should have taken Golden here. Then you could have been picking by now because Master Chief wanted, I guess he probably, judging by his roster, he definitely wanted Harvey, and I,
Harvey.
I jumped him, which
Oh,
I didn't do that on purpose. I was just kind of driving. I
yeah.
do weird shit. I'm not supposed to trade while driving. Puka Nikoa.
I took a Lisa on your heart. I took a Lisa on your heart. Can I Lisa, Lisa Bart? Can I Lisa, Lisa Bart? Can I Lisa, Lisa Bart?
Welcome back, everybody. We are Rough Draft Research. You are the audience, and together we're on a quest for Dynasty Domination. How's it going over there, Daniel?
So good, man. I'm going full Ash Ketchum on these rookies. I'm trying to catch
Okay,
them all
gotta
here.
catch them all.
And I'm getting close. I'm getting close.
Good.
Obviously, I've got rookie fever, man. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, I can say the same. These next two rookie drafts, I don't really have a lot of picks in, but then whenever we do our roasted one, I do have quite a bit of picks. So I'm hoping to get my hands on a lot of these guys as well. That'll be really nice. But yeah, I'm excited. I love the IDP League, which is what we're going to talk about today. We're kind of just doing another draft review for you guys and then hitting some, but we're doing some IDP stuff. So obviously, if you listened last week, you heard most of our opinions on a lot of the top guys. We're still going to hit those top guys and kind of talk about how they fit into people's rosters and stuff like that, obviously. But we might go a little quicker on some of the names we hit last week and kind of focus more on the IDP guys. Uh, but yeah, this has quickly become my second favorite league, second favorite dynasty league. And it was really fun to draft, even though I didn't really have that great of picks, but
Yeah, I had 8 picks.
that's always nice.
So I got buck nasty on this thing, man. Like I got into it big time. So yes, hopefully it will quickly become my second favorite league. I think it's got a lot of potential to be number two. I lucked into third place last year
Hell yeah.
with the kind of a empty roster, and to have 5 picks in the first 2 rounds. I don't know, man. Things are coming together for the Dan Meister, so we're just
Yeah,
gonna
you look
ride
like
it out.
you crushed it here. But on that note, why don't we just kind of go ahead and get into it then? What is happening? I'm hitting all the wrong buttons.
Which buttons?
Oh, I'm just trying to share the screen and I'm a 50-year-old man, so um you know me. You know how
I
I do.
do, yes. You're quite a bit younger than me, and so I can only imagine that I would be using T9 to do what you're doing, at the very least.
Well, hopefully you can see us, but if I did it wrong again, I'm not going to try and fix that. I am trying to get this away. There we go. I'm not going to go ahead and fix that if it's not on there. So sorry you can't see our pretty faces this week if we're not there. But yeah, let's crack into it. So the 1-1, Danny, friend of the podcast, got that pick. It was Ashton Genty. No surprise there. Makes a lot of sense for his roster. I mean, he was going into the season with Kenneth Walker and not much else at running back. A couple flyers, Garindo, Trey Benson, Isaiah Pacheco, Damian Pierce somehow sticking and kicking around. And then, Aaron Jones, so respectable but not incredible. So Genty really spices up that running back room for him. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely what's going to be happening. There was a chance, there was an outside chance for Hunter to pull the upset here with
Yeah.
the dual position cheat code and the IDP, but I think you got to go Genty when you look at that running back room. Like more often than not, that's what we're going to see here, regardless of IDP.
Oh yeah, we're already in another draft and Genty went immediately. So the Hunter conversation does get interesting on the next pick. You can't blame this Ace Raider gentleman for taking Amarian Hampton at all. Like Hampton's probably going to be a great player, lands in a great landing spot. But just if I had the 1-2, there's no way I'm not taking Travis Hunter, who went at the 1-3. I mean, I kind of been banging this drum, and now maybe with Shimmy's roster, not to gloss over Omarion Hampton there, but if you take a look at his roster, he's got Justin Jefferson, Drake London, Nico Collins, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, and we start four wide receivers in this league. So he's going to be able to start all four of those guys and then throw Travis Hunter in as a defensive back, which is just absurd. It's going to be like a superpower on his roster. Um, Depending on my roster, I may have even taken him in front of Genty, just like you're talking about, just because that like little Swiss Army knife flexibility play is going to be incredible for him, I think. And I probably should have tried harder to trade for the 1-3 when it was on the block.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, Shimmy's sharp, dude. He probably was tripping over himself when he saw Hampton go at number two. So
Yeah,
that's
I would have been
you
too.
know,
That was
I'm
part of the
saying
reason I didn't try harder to get the 1-3 because I didn't think Hunter
just
would be there.
assumed, right?
Like, and I didn't want to give up a shit ton of stuff to move up. I didn't have a lot of ammo either, so it would have been kind of hard. Uh,
I had a ton of ammo. Now I just feel silly for not sending something to the one too. If I, yeah, that's how it goes.
no, yeah, that's how it bees. But I think that's a really smart play. I mean, yeah, just to be able to start five wide receivers that are that all that talented is going to be awesome. Then we had Titan fan Clint, also a friend of the pod in the For the Belt League, taking Tetaroa McMillan at the 1-4. Makes a lot of sense for him as well. I mean, he has Ayuk on his roster. That's a big question mark. He does have AJ Brown and Devontae Adams, who are great, but both getting up there. Adams obviously more, and then Waddle was a big question mark last year too. Kind of weird with the Dolphins. So Tet McMillan, I think, does add some juice to that wide receiver room.
Yeah, that's a good pickup right there. It's kind of a coin flip, with the Henderson. I can see the
Yeah,
value being locked in here, but yeah, you can't hate him for making that move. Yeah, got Gibbs there taking care of that anchor, so
yeah.
and Swift as well. Yeah, I see it. That's a nice call.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of Henderson, he does go up next here to a guy I met in Oregon. So that is Isaiah. He's a good dude. Got him into fantasy, and he said he was in like 24 leagues or something absurd last year.
What?
Yeah, I don't know how many of them were best ball or whatever. So I mean, who knows, but still an absurd number. But he pairs Trevion Henderson with Bijan Robinson, which is great. I mean, he's also got Bucky Irvin sitting there. So that's a solid RB room going forward and still fairly young.
Yeah, that's a good call. I didn't know he's the Oregon friend. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that pick right there. And these top five, same top five as the For the Belt draft. So,
Yeah, slightly different order, but
yep,
I think just switch Hunter and McMillan. Then we had Tyler Warren go also to Ace Raider. He had a lot of picks just like you did. So Tyler Warren, he pairs with
that's
Amarian Hampton. Which is, that's a good call. Hard to argue with there. Might have to take a little time to just see how the quarterback room shakes out for the Colts. But I mean, he had Michael Mayer, Hunter Henry, and Isaiah Likely and Noah Gray going into the draft. So he definitely needed to make a move at the tight end spot. So Warren makes all the sense in the world.
absolutely. This is kind of where I'd expect to see him. This is 6 spots higher than he went in the For the Belt draft, where he went at
Yeah.
12. So, um, I think it was cool. Now I don't know, man. Ace Raider, obviously, this guy had some good picks. I think he didn't go defense the entire draft, man. So
Mm-mm.
that's
He did
crazy.
not.
Didn't do the hunter and didn't go defense. Ooh, all
But then
right,
next
man. I
up
trust him.
is you
Oh, me.
with back-to-back picks with
Holy
Quinshon
smokes.
Judkins and Caleb Johnson. So that's your second share of Judkins here. How you feeling about these?
Feels good. I was kind of looking at this, not really sure how it was going to shake out. Didn't expect Warren to go at the 1-6. So
Hmm.
to get Judkins and Johnson, and I've got a ton I can say about my roster, but I'll spare you guys most of the details and just let you know that I only had one top 20 running back on my roster last year, and it was Derrick Henry. So,
Yeah, I mean, if
um,
you're gonna have just one,
yeah, it was a good year. It was a surprise, but I need to make a big splash and be able to get two starting caliber guys, and I was pretty pumped to pull it off here.
yeah, no, that's a great back-to-back pick. Obviously, I'm a big Caleb Johnson guy, and I like Judkins a lot too. So makes sense, and that it pairs him with Derrick Henry and Ramondre. So yeah,
Yep.
can't really argue with that. Next up, we had Danny making another pick. He comes up and takes RJ Harvey, continues to rebuild that running back room. Also
Man.
makes a ton of sense there. He picked up a lot of draft capital for future drafts as well. So he's just, trying to plan and have picks multiple picks every year. And if you can pick up Genty and Harvey and some of the other guys we'll get into later, um, you can't argue with it.
Yeah, somehow, yeah, he ended up with the first pick of of each round 1 through 4. So he must have done
Yeah.
a heavy deal with the last place team. So that's definitely going to pay off. Yeah, Harvey, he was getting at me a little bit. Obviously, Steelers fan wanted to get his
Hmm.
Caleb Johnson on, but I had to do what I had to do with Caleb. But RJ Harvey going right here makes a ton of sense. I love to see it. Same spot we
Yeah.
had him in for the belt, so
Yeah.
consistent.
Yeah, and I think people are going to be happy with the way Harvey turns out. We kind of talked about it before the show. He may not be
Yeah,
like a long-term answer necessarily just because of his age and I don't know. Maybe, but you can definitely use him for 3 to 5-ish years, and probably be fine. So I think it makes a lot of sense there. And then next up, we had a guy who, for once, a person that has all their own picks,
whoa,
didn't trade anything, and he took Trey Harris off the board. And interesting that he goes before Emeka Ibuka and before
hey,
Matthew
dude,
Golden. But
go
hey, get
for
your
it.
guy.
Yeah, man, I love this. I mean, I like Harris a lot, and then that Chargers situation just makes it even more extreme.
Yeah,
Uh, it's a clear path to, I mean, week one, number two wide receiver on the team. Ibuka can't say that necessarily, probably for the year. And then Golden, he's definitely going to be number one or number two, but it's a hot potato. A lot of people get involved in that wide receiver room, so it's not as cut and dry. Harris just offers something like a higher floor right out the gate, in my opinion. And
yeah,
you gotta love Herbert there, so
yeah, for sure.
hook him up, man.
I do worry that he is kind of on an offense that's going to run the ball a lot, and then I do still think Lad McConkey is going to be their number one guy
Of
who's going to get
course,
the most targets every game. I mean, not every game, but for most of the
every
games. So that would worry me a little bit, but
game.
yeah, like you said, it's a slam dunk. Just surprising, which actually made uh Danny very happy because he got one of his guys at the 2-1, Emeka Ibuka. Sorry, did we want to do the first round again or?
Sure. Yeah. I guess I listened back to last week and I was like, yeah, a recap of each round would have been smooth. But yeah, number one overall was Ashton Jitnty. And then it went into Hamden at 2. Travis Hunter was 3. Ted McMillan goes at 4. We had Henderson at 5. Warren at 6. Judkins was 7. Caleb Johnson at 8. RJ Harvey at 9. And then we ended with Trey Harris the surprise pick at number 10 spot.
Yeah. Which again, yeah, that I think Danny was happy about that. I know he likes Ibuka, so getting him at the 2-1, I think was probably tremendous value in his eyes. Hard to argue with there. Then Ace Raider comes back up, takes Cam Scattaboo. I think it's a great pick. And then I also, I mean, it is even better because he had Tyrone Tracy on his roster. So it makes a lot of sense. I'm on the record as saying that I think Scattaboo will make Tyrone Tracy kind of irrelevant by the end of the year. Maybe I'm just too high on Scattaboo, but it couldn't have fallen to him better to get that guy. I was kind of upset. I was hoping that or I tried to trade in here or something to get him, but lo and behold, he gets it. So now he's got Warren, Hampton, and Scattaboo so far. So that's a good draft.
Yeah, some serious ammo right there. Damn, pretty solid, man. And I was glad to see that go because I really wanted to get some shares of Matthew Golden, and this was my first
Yeah.
and only, I believe, so far. And so when he went Scatterboo, I was at the 2-3. I went Golden. I had tried to trade up a couple of times to get to the 2-2 and the 2-1 to get Golden because
Hmm.
I was scared he wouldn't make it to me. I was very happy. I mentioned my situation with the running back room. My wide receiver room was the same deal. I only had one in the top 20, and it was Garrett Wilson.
Hmm.
So, like you're saying, we start like 5 billion wide receivers in this league. So I had to get up to speed on that position, and this helped me out in a big way.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great for you. Obviously, we're both big Golden guys. He keeps falling in drafts, so maybe we're the only guys here that like
That's
Golden,
fine.
but I'm good with it. So yeah, great pickup there. Then we go to Randy with his first pick of the
Randy.
draft. Takes Colston Loveland, which is pretty great value. Again,
Yeah.
you and I aren't huge uh, Colston Loveland guys, but I mean the landing spot can't be denied, and that value can't be denied. And then if you take a look, he had Brenton Strange and Travis Kelce, so definitely needed some youth in that tight end room. So Colston Loveland makes all the sense in the world as his first pick.
Yeah, it felt like he was falling, but then, I mean, if you look at it, not really. I don't know. I did a lot of analysis on like the positional value in this league because I was trying to wrap my head around which direction to go with 7 different positions available. And it kind of come down to like you only start one tight end, you only start one
Yeah,
quarterback. And so those values on those positions, the replacement value is very high and the roster depth is, doesn't really go that direction. So it wasn't too much of a fall really, but it's good value, good pick for him. And thanks for always responding kindly to my crazy trade offers. Randy, you're a heck of a guy.
that's fair. That's fair. So then we had Isaiah go up next, which this was a surprise. Jordan James at the 2-5.
Oh, yeah.
It looks pretty crazy, and there's obviously some tremendous value there. But if he felt like he needed running back help, which I don't know, I probably would have gone wide receiver, like a Higgins or maybe even start or a Burden, or maybe even started the defensive train here. But if it seems crazy, but then if you look at the other running backs that are left on the board, you've got Devin Neal, Tootin, Giddens, Jaden Blue, Jarquez Hunter. Like they're all kind of dart throwy-ish.
Mm.
And I mean, if you like Kyle Shanahan and think that offense is going to be great and think Jordan James is going to replace CMC, go get your guy. I wouldn't have done it that early. He went undrafted in our For the Belt draft.
Oh yeah,
And
man. He totally did. And I was very pumped to get him for like a $4 uncontested waiver. And then this guy goes and takes him off the
at the
board at
2-5.
15. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay. Maybe I hope this guy knows something that I will soon find out, because definitely made me feel good. We both like Jordan James a lot on the film room. I
Yeah.
thought he was an underrated guy. And I mean, I don't know. I guess we weren't wrong. You say he's up there in the Oregon area, so he might know
He's out there on that
just
West Coast.
yeah, just from
Yeah.
watching the Ducks, he might have been
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 all over
had the inside
it.
track. He also has Bucky Irving on his squad, so it could just
Yeah.
be a homer thing.
He just knows everybody up there, knows all their agents and stuff. Next up, first quarterback and only quarterback in the draft. Felt a little surprising, but Ace Raider goes and takes Cam Ward. So now he's got the top tight end and the top quarterback, or arguably the top tight end and the top quarterback off the board. Makes a lot of sense. I mean, honestly, it does and it doesn't. He did have Josh Allen and Jordan Love. I think I probably would have been fine with that going forward. But I mean, if he
What's
felt like
going
he
on?
needed a third guy, and I mean, if you look at his wide receiver room, it's pretty stacked. He does have Brian Thomas Jr., Puka Nacua, Tyreek Hill, even Khalil Shakir is kind of a flyer guy, and he feels good about the RB room after his first two picks. So yeah, if that's who you want, go for it. But then you take the
Me,
first defensive player off the board.
I took the
And
first defensive player. I gotta say though, this is the second draft we've seen Cam Ward go higher than expected, and to a Josh Allen owner.
oh
So
yeah.
be wary of these time travelers. But Josh Allen, I hope you got a good season coming your way, dude. But these guys worried about you. But yeah, I had to do it, dude. I seriously I offered trades to the 2-4, 2-5, 2-6. Pretty much everyone in the second heard from me. Because I couldn't believe that Abdul Carter, first defensive player off the board.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah, was available at the 2-7. I got pretty giddy about that. Smashed
Hmm.
it multiple times. I just kept replaying that moment when I pressed that button. Um, and yeah, I think this is a great pick for me. I think obviously they're worried about the three-headed monster with the edge position there in the New York, but I think that great draft capital. Obviously a stud. He's gonna be a long-term anchor for me at the position, which I did full analysis on my roster pretty hard, and I found D line to be an area that I needed to improve. So I'm very happy with how this has gone so far. Um, but yeah, you got anything to say about our first defensive player?
No, I mean I like it a lot. Is he marked as an edge or just D line right
It
now?
says D line, but they don't
The
have it
edges,
all.
yeah, gotcha.
Yeah,
So I mean, he presumably will be labeled an edge, so that dual D line linebacker. So that's going to be really great for you whenever that happens. And yeah, we're talking about a kid who had 12 sacks last season on a great Penn State defense. He had 23 sacks throughout college, and actually still racked up some tackles as well. 104 total tackles in his career in 3 years at Penn State. So you're getting a guy that can just blaze all over the field. And yeah, I'm not super worried about Thibodeau. It seems like he's on the way out the door. There was like talks of him potentially getting traded in the draft.
yeah,
And so like I just think a couple of years where he's in this three-headed monster system, but I think it's Abdul Carter's team. I mean,
of course.
he needs to maybe not request all the Giants legends numbers to be
Oh
unretired so that
no.
he can take their numbers. But
Has he asked for 56?
yeah, he asked for Lawrence Taylor, then he asked for Phil Sims' number. Um, and yeah, you can't be taking Lawrence Taylor's number. Like, yeah.
Don't mess with it.
You don't mess with it. If you can't see us on the pod, he just Danny or Daniel just held up a Lawrence Taylor poster. So yeah, you
Jeez.
can't do that. And then trying to go after Phil Sims, that was a little odd as well. But you know, the ball's on the kid. He thinks he's going to be a star. So
I happen to agree with him. I don't know.
yeah,
You gotta put it down on the stat sheet, but everyone's sniffing themselves these days, man. Why should
yeah,
he not? He's obviously a big deal. And I was, like I said, 2-7 for me. Pretty surprised, pretty
yeah,
excited.
yeah. I'd like to go back and see when the first defensive player went off the board last year.
It was the 2-4.
The 2-4. So kind of in that same range,
Yeah, that was
but
Latu.
and it was Latu. But I mean Latu didn't even have the capital of Carter. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you got a steal here. And then you went up and took Jaden Higgins as well right after that.
Yeah, slam dunk for me. For sure of Higgins. Mixed review on the offseason processing, but I think yeah, he slots into a great landing spot with the Texans. So as I said earlier, really, really horrible wide receiver room. And yeah, so this adds to Golden. And then I picked up two more guys throughout the rest of the draft. So I'm very happy. This has gone very well for me. And I'm just
Yeah.
going to go ahead and take a victory lap here at my fifth pick out of the top 18. So
Yeah.
Higgins, pumped about it.
Yeah, you should be. That's a great pickup there. And then we had our next defensive player go off the board to Clint, Jihad Campbell. The only thing I would slightly be worried about with Campbell, I do think he has the most upside of any of the linebackers in the draft. Super explosive, all over the field for Alabama.
Yeah.
54 solo tackles last year,
Wow.
88 throughout his entire career solo. And he also added 5 sacks. The only thing is he just goes onto a roster that's so deep
Yeah.
with the Eagles that he may not see the field very often and maybe used as kind of like a role player piece, at least for year one and two. And the Eagles have been shown to do that. I mean, they did it with Jalen Carter, they did it with a few people, and now it's working out great. And obviously, they won a Super Bowl. So if it
Yeah.
ain't broke,
Their
just
best linebacker is a cornerback. So
yeah.
it's crazy. They've done
So
weird stuff.
yeah, they've done super weird stuff. So you might have to wait on Camel, but I do think the upside is worth taking him here.
Yeah, I thought it was a good pick. I mean, there was no way I was going to put him over wide receiver given my roster, but I wasn't surprised to see.
Hmm.
I thought there was going to be more of a run, to be honest with you. But yeah, he's our second defensive player off the board.
Yep.
Feels good.
Yeah. Then we had the last pick in the second round was Devin Neal. Again, I kind of mentioned it
What are
with
we
Jordan
doing next?
James. It was a bit early, but also like all these running backs are kind of dart throws. I mean, he is a sixth round rookie pick, so I don't love it. I would have just taken the value at receiver probably and hope to get Devin Neal in the third or fourth maybe. But hey, again, he also won the championship last year, so like he's doing something right. So if that's his guy, that's his guy.
Yeah, it's kind of a strange move to see. I don't know. I guess maybe if Burden really isn't in that tier of wide receivers that we thought he was, then I guess it really is kind of the Wild West here.
Hmm.
So that's kind of after those top 17, 16 players that we were talking about last week. So good luck. I mean, Neil could break open the Saints running back room if Alvin Kamara ever regresses, but I wouldn't bet against Kamara.
Yeah, yeah. Some of these older running backs, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, they just keep doing it, so it's hard to bet against those guys. Danny traded a first to get like a pick swap, but it involved first to get up to the 3-1 to take Luther Burden.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
liked that move. I mean, yeah, you're giving up a first. He had multiple that year too, as well, I think.
Where'd he
Uh,
get all these picks?
oh, he just sold his whole team when he first got in the league. Some of them, I know I gave him
Oh
one.
yeah,
I forget what I gave it to him for. Oh, I moved
nice.
up in the draft in his first. Well, doesn't matter. He took Luther Burden. I think it's a steal.
Yeah,
I do think Luther Burden is going to be in that tier of wide receivers. I don't know why everyone's sleeping on him so hard. Maybe they don't want to wait. But with him taking Abuka and Burden, and then having Terry and Rasheed Rice, and that just makes sense. He's got Kirk and DK. So guys that he can rely on for now. Uh, and then he's got like high-end capital coming down the pipe.
ah, this guy. Always betting on the future. I love it. Yeah, I thought that was a great pick. It seems like a huge fall at the 3-1.
Hmm.
But if you remove IDP players, it's only one pick later than he went and for the belt.
Gotcha.
So at the 2-6, kind of comparable to the 12 team league and the IDP. So yeah, definitely a smash. Do you want me to go through the second round real
Yeah,
quick?
I jumped ahead. You can go ahead and do that.
All good. Yes, the 2-1 was Ibuka. The 2-2 was Scattaboo. Matthew Golden at the 2-3. We had Colston Loveland at the 2-4. Jordan James, big surprise at the 2-5. Cam Ward, only quarterback in a 5-round, 10-team draft. A single QB at the 2-6. First defensive player with Abdul Carter at the 2-7. Jaden Higgins goes 2-8. We had Campbell at 2-9 and Devin Neal at the 2-10. And I do know their first names. I just don't always say them. Well, that's what's up.
That's fair. All right, so the 3-2 then goes to Jalen Royals, another Ace Raider pick. He was like you, he had a bunch of picks in this draft, and obviously really liked Royals, and I think it's
It's
a
a good
great
pick.
pick. Yeah, I mean, we were both really high on Royals as well.
Yeah, guy, I
Um,
don't have him yet. I got to get him.
yeah, you got to go after him. So yeah, and I mean, it was his first wide receiver. He has good wide receiver rooms. Has a good wide receiver room. I kind of talked about it already. So it makes sense he waited this late, but he still got a great one at the 3-2. Next up was me for my first two picks. First one was Jack Besh. Definitely a guy that or is it Beck or Besh? I never
It's
remember.
Besh. You got it.
Besh. Okay, I nailed it. A guy I liked a lot, so I'm glad to have a share of him here. And I add him to a fairly deep wide receiver room, but all the running backs I wanted were off the board, and it's kind of what I was talking about with James
You
and
kidding me,
Neal.
dude? You could have gone tooting, dude.
Eh, I already
Sorry.
have. I mean, I guess I should have. I have Bigsby and ETN, but
You're good.
what?
James and Neil, I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't know. The value of wide receivers here was still great. I do think, Besh is probably the last one that warrants taking them in front of all these other guys. Then after that, you kind of take your flyers, but
Sure. Sure. That's one
but
man's opinion.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't see. Well, I mean,
Well,
Kyle
I
Williams.
picked
Sorry.
a wide receiver before the next running back
No,
went. So
I forgot about Kyle Williams, and then Jalen Noel's still there, so those are great too. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's get into the actual meat of what I did.
yeah.
Carson Schwessinger. Uh,
Nice
mm,
pick.
yeah, I liked this a lot. I was really happy he was still there. I was kind of surprised that he didn't go earlier. He was only like a 3 or 4 pick difference from Jahad Campbell. Uh,
I like Schlesinger over Campbell personally.
Yeah,
I'm
well, I
call me
mean, we're talking about
crazy.
a kid that had 90 tackles last year solo. It doesn't add a lot in terms of like sacks, but he did have 4. But it's really about the landing spot with Cleveland and then JOK before this draft or before the end of this or after this draft ended, we found out that JOK was going to be on the pup list for the whole year. So now Schlesinger is basically just lined up to immediately start for the Cleveland Browns. And I mean, they spent the 33rd overall pick on him. So yeah, I was very stoked to get him here. I was surprised that he was still there.
Yeah, I'm jealous just a little bit. Obviously, I had opportunities, 5 of them to take him, but I was eyeballing him for the 3-6 for sure. And you got me. You got me.
Gotcha. Sorry. Yeah, I know a few people were trying to trade up with me when I took those 2 picks, and they were very upset when I took Schlesinger. So that made me
Yep.
feel pretty good.
That means you did the right thing.
Next up, Isaiah takes Torrey Horton. Not afraid of taking his guys. Torrey Horton is a guy I got um, on waivers and for the belt, but I do like him, and I like the landing spot there in Seattle. I think it's kind of sneaky good. I mean, the his biggest competition for that wide receiver 3 spot is MVS, Valdez
Ugh,
Scantling. And then
killing me.
Cooper Cup's obviously aging out probably relatively soon. So I like the spot there. And then yeah, we talked about it. You took Kyle Williams. We like Kyle Williams up in this podcast. So that makes a lot of sense. And now you're really starting to round out a great draft here with the 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, Abdul Carter, and then Kyle Williams.
Yes.
Hard to be upset with that. And then we talked about him a little bit. Shimmy goes back to back running backs here after taking Travis Hunter in the first round. He goes Bashul Tootin and DJ Giddens. Tootin's probably a little more solidified as a thing
Yeah.
in Jacksonville. Giddens, obviously, if Jonathan Taylor goes down, then he could potentially be a thing. So it's kind of a dart throw. And then who knows what's going to happen in the running back room in Jacksonville, but I wouldn't be
I
surprised if
don't
Tootin is the guy.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Tootin, I thought was great. Shimmy is a resident a Manhattanite. So
Mhm.
to go for the K-State running back isn't too crazy. I think that he probably could have salvaged a little bit of value. Personally, this is where it gets weird for me. The next running back off the board was Jaden Blue. I think that that's probably a smash over Giddens every time.
I
Um,
agree.
but yeah, that's all I'll say there. Tooting my horn.
Tooting your horn. Yeah, I love it. And then a bit of a surprise here. Aronde Gaddison
Yeah.
went another guy that I got off waivers in the For the Belt draft after it was over. Uh, but it's more that he went in front of Arroyo, he went in front of Ferguson, he went in front of Fannin. And I get it. I mean, you look at the depth chart for the Chargers right now, and he's technically third on it. But I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the year he's playing more than Will Dissly or Tyler Conklin.
Oh, absolutely. Dude, I'm a big fan. I like that Gaddison quite a bit. Gadsden, um, coming out of
Gadsden.
Syracuse, I was into him big time. So I'm glad to see someone else was there. I haven't collected too much just because when it comes to roster construction, um, tight ends kind of get the loose you hope you get two you can start, and then the rest is kind of, you can't just be putting fillers out there for tight end roster clogs. That's dangerous territory.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I mean, I like the pick. It was his first pick of the draft. So he had to wait quite a while, but he does get his guy there. And I mean, if you look at his tight end room, he did pick up Mason Taylor off waivers, which is crazy that Mason Taylor just
Yeah,
didn't even go.
that was a big
Um,
one.
yeah, and then but I mean he had Cole Kmet who got replaced, Mark Andrews who's old, and Jatavion Sanders. So it's not like he didn't have guys, but obviously just like the fit there. And then the final guy in the draft takes Mason Graham. Now I don't necessarily love this pick. I think Mason Graham's going to be a great player in the NFL, but we're talking about a guy that had 60 solo tackles total in his NFL or his college career and only 9 sacks along the defensive line. He's slotting in on a Cleveland defense where, yeah, he's going to be the run stuffer there, but I mean, he's sliding in next to Miles Garrett and all these, and then you look at Schlesinger and stuff like that. Like a lot of guys, it just feels like that he may not be a fantasy superstar, especially being a D line only.
Yeah, yeah. It's the a defensive tackle. It's not really where you want to put your money when it comes to the D line position. But when you look at the rest of the draft board, I mean, I think that the next two defenders that were taken probably should have gone over him. Maybe the I don't know. But as far as offensive players, I think IDP was this is a good spot to take an IDP player.
Yeah, I agree.
But but yeah, I'm with you. I was not it wasn't a head scratcher like the Gaddison pick or whatever,
Yeah.
but I was like, well, I knew he'd get drafted eventually. I just thought he'd go after the Atlanta guys for sure.
Yeah, the guys that are gonna get you more sacks. But you never know. I mean, Mason Graham, they took him at the 5 spot for a reason. So they obviously want to use him, and they obviously think he's gonna be great, which is hard to argue with given the tape he
Wild.
put out. Just fantasy wise, I'm not sure. Danny's back up, and he
Yeah.
takes Jalen Walker to round out his draft. Oh, let me let you do the third round real quick, and then.
Okay, yeah. The 3-1 was Luther Burden. Then we had Jalen Royals at the 3-2. Hell of a pick. Jack Besh was at the 3-3 to Christian, who followed up with a slam dunk with Schlesinger at 3-4.
Woohoo!
Torrey Horton surprising us all here at the 3-5 section. And then I get my first share of Kyle Williams. That's something I'm going to be happy about for a long time. And so
Mm-hmm.
tuck that in the pocket. But Bashul Tootin and DJ Giddens go back to back to Shimmy. A little bit of later running back talent, and then another surprise with Gaddison at the 3-9, and then Mason Graham. a suspicious selection at the 310.
Yeah. Good third round though overall. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe I just feel that way
it's
because
a
that was
lot of
my
value.
first two picks, but I'll take it. So then yeah, we had Jalen Walker, and these last two rounds we're gonna go a little faster. I think we're gonna spend time on the defensive players, but kind of speed up through these other guys. So Jalen Walker goes at the 4-1. It makes a whole heck of a lot of sense. I mean, he's a projections guy, only 12 and a half sacks throughout 3 years of college, but just an incredible athlete. But the most important thing is that there is goddamn nobody on the Atlanta defense that is like he is already slotted in to be their edge. And just immediately start producing. So I mean, it's kind of like one of those flyer home run swings, but it makes sense because, again, you're going to see him right away. And if he ends up being a bust somehow, then you can get out of him pretty quickly and he'll still have that name value. But I don't think he will be. I think he'll be pretty exciting for the Falcons. That also rounds out a draft class for Danny of Genty, Harvey, Abuka, Burden, and Jalen Walker,
Wow.
which is really, really solid. You
Jeez.
and the Ace Raider and Randy and Danny all killed it. I mean, you all had lots of picks and lots of good picks, so that's that helps. But yeah, I Danny killed it here. I like his draft a lot. Jaden Blue, you kind of mentioned him. He went next to Randy, who he pairs with Colson Loveland. He took three flyers on running backs. A couple we'll get into later. But yeah, I'm with you. I probably would have picked Jaden Blue over Giddens. Uh, the Dallas running back room is kind of up in the air. And then Clint goes and takes the other Atlanta first round edge rusher who also is slotted in on our lads as a starter,
Yeah.
James Pierce Jr. So there were some question marks about him. I think a lot of teams didn't have him as a first round pick. But again, if we're just straight up talking uh, opportunity, he's going to get the opportunity. And this is a guy who, oh, and it makes sense. Titan fan or Tennessee fan took a Tennessee guy. That's cute. It also makes sense a lot, though. He had 19 and a half sacks and 44 solo tackles in college. So he did produce. It's just a question if he's going to in the NFL. But I mean, again, take a swing on these defensive players.
Yeah, I think it's a good choice. Honestly, this is a good pairing right here. Both these Atlanta guys. It's anybody's option to be the future leader on this front. Secondary's got some good vets in it, but the whole front end is wide open.
Yeah, for sure. So then the next few picks here we had Alec Iomanner, Terrence Ferguson, Jarquez Hunter, Jalen Noel, and Pat Bryant to you.
Yay.
That rounds out Isaiah's draft class with Henderson, Jordan James, Torrey Horton, Iomanner, and Terrence Ferguson. I love the Ferguson pick. I picked him up in for the belt. The other guys are guys that he definitely went for his guys. A lot of West Coast guys, so maybe you're onto something there with Iomanner coming out of Stanford. Definitely a guy we liked coming out, and I do think has some upside. I think it was Clint done. No, Clint's still going, so we'll talk about him in a second. Shimmy still going, and then you had another
Ferguson's an
pick.
Oregon
So,
guy too.
oh yeah, Ferguson's Oregon guy. Oh wow, so yeah,
So he's a Ducks fan, big time.
it has to be. So those anything to say about those three guys or four or five?
No, no, this looks good.
Okay, perfect. So then Michael Williams is Clint's last pick. Rounds out his class. Ted McMillan, Jayhad Campbell, uh, James Pierce, Jerquez Hunter, and Michael Williams. I kind of want to ditto the Michael Williams thing with the Mason Graham thing, where
Okay.
he's kind of just I don't know. He may end up playing edge for the Niners, and the Niners have always had like a great defense and great producers. And at this spot, like go for it. I just am worried about him not being a fantasy guy. But he went super defensive in this
Yeah.
draft,
I
so
thought he
he
had a
did
good
take
draft,
swings. Yeah,
honestly,
okay, yeah. I mean, I think he had a good draft, especially picking up Hunter.
for sure.
I think is a sneaky pick, and then yeah, James Pierce and Michael Williams pairing him with Jahad Campbell. He's building a young, stout defense there. And then Xavier Restrepo goes as the last pick of the fourth round.
Man, I love it. Um, Yeah, that's thinking fourth round. We're just going to touch on the IDP guys that went. It was Jalen Walker at the 4-1. The
Okay.
4-3 was James Pierce. And then we had Malik Williams at the 4-9.
Yeah. So then we'll get into the fifth round here. Randy goes Dylan Sampson and Woody Marks. That gives him a draft of Loveland, Blue, Sampson, and Marks. Sampson's great value here. Obviously, people are scared of the Judkin things. And then I think Marks and Blue are great flyers at
Yes.
running backs to take. And then Loveland at that value. So really good there. Next IDP player to go was to me. I took Nick Imanwari, safety
Nice.
for Seattle. He may have to wait. They have a pretty good secondary out in Seattle, but we're talking about a kid that did have 57 tackles solo and
Wow.
166 total solo tackles in throughout his college career. Hits really hard. I know it's an easy comparison to make, but he kind of reminds me of Cam Chancellor,
Okay.
and him playing up in Seattle. Hopefully, they kind of use him in a very similar way. I was really hyped on him. There were three safeties that I liked in this class, and I was glad to get the one I liked the most.
Yeah, and he joins a pretty stout secondary out there,
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
hopefully he won't have a lot of pressure and he'll just kind of jump in. That's a good pick, man. I like that one right there.
Thank you, sir. I was happy with it. I traded a third to move up in here and take Arroyo.
Hmm.
I thought it was pretty crazy that he kept falling like that. That rounds out my class with Besh, Schlesinger, Imanwari, and Arroyo. I'm happy with that. And I needed, it's crazy to say that I needed a more, I was hoping for a more solid backup tight end with Kyle Pitts on my roster as my backup, which is also crazy that he's the backup to Tucker Kraft pretty considerably. Uh, but you never know. We'll see what happens. I like Arroyo in Seattle, back-to-back Seahawks there. And then the next three guys, all offense, we had Harold Fannin Jr., Kyle Mullins, and Trevor Etienne go. That also rounds out Ace Raiders draft class with Hampton, Scatterbo, Warren, Ward, Royals, Fannin, and Mullins. That's a great draft there. Hard to argue with that. And then Shimmy
Wow.
rounds out his class with Hunter, Tootin, Giddens, Knoll, and Etienne.
Nice. I like that. Shimmy is kind of a lot of darts being tossed in a very stout roster of his. So
Hmm.
I think he adds a little bit of depth.
Yeah,
Damn,
smart
scary
picks all
guy.
around. Yeah, he's a good one. And then you finish
Oh,
off your draft with Mike Green. That finishes you off with Judkins, Johnson, Golden, Carter, Higgins, Williams, Bryant, and Green. That's also a tremendous draft. And then Mike Green has like one of the biggest upsides of anybody in this class. He had 17 sacks last season.
yeah,
Had some character concerns, but the Ravens just don't give a shit about that. Um,
that's true
and
about the Ravens.
yeah, so he'll probably slide in fairly early on. I mean, if you look at the room right now, he is behind Adafe Owe. I'd have to look at the contract situation, but I like that Matt Green pickup a lot for you.
Yeah, thanks, man. This was a weird, I mean, it was kind of a weird deal where it's like guys you don't want to lose on waivers. There were
Hmm.
a lot of different players. I even thought about going quarterback here, but I was like, Mike Green, he obviously has a huge upside. Slid in the NFL draft due to some issues in the past, and I guess I'm just hoping that he can overcome those. And the Ravens are known for having some good playmakers on the defensive side of the ball, so it felt like a good move here.
Yeah. Yeah, I really don't think you could have made a better one there. I mean, there were some guys, I mean, a lot of guys that went on waivers
If
after
Woody
this
Marks
list.
had been there, probably
Probably
would have
would
gone Marks,
have.
dude. But Woody Marks feels like the dude. He feels like the dude we're all missing out on right now.
Not me for the
He's the
bell
Kyle
pickup.
Williams of this week. Yeah, nice, dude. There's been some really insane waivers this season. This class
Yeah.
is very deep.
Yeah, it's very deep. It's been fun. Next up, we had Ollie Gordon go as the last offensive player that rounds out the Adams draft class with Gadsden and Gordon. Gordon obviously gives the Dolphins something different, but I don't know how much fantasy wise. And then the last pick of the draft was Danny Stuntsman out of Oklahoma.
Stones.
184 tackles in 4 years in college. It does hurt to see his tackle numbers go down 3 years in a row, from 68 in 2022 down to 44 in 2024. But again, if we're talking opportunity, he probably won't start right away. There was a linebacker I picked up on waivers that I liked a little better than him, but Stuntsman does only have to compete with Pete Warner and Demario Davis, who's obviously a stud, but kind of getting older. So I like the I mean, linebackers are king in
Yeah.
IDP.
Who'd you
So,
pick up?
oh, what was his
Wasn't
name?
Nick Martin?
No, it was
He's
not.
still
It
out there.
was why I'm drawing a blank on his name right now.
No, no big deal. I didn't mean to
No, no, no.
put you on the spot
I'll
like
pull
that.
it up. Oh, Demetrius Knight, Cincinnati.
Oh, yep. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Since he had a sneaky, obviously, defensive draft with no offensive support,
yeah.
pretty much whatsoever because they needed it big time.
Hmm.
So I like that. I like that. I do think that,
He's older, 25. So,
gotcha. Nice.
but
Yeah. Nick Martin is, projected to start for the Niners at the linebacker position. I think he's still out there. So
hmm,
someone to keep an eye on. Just saying. Just
yeah,
saying. But,
we should have been in on that probably.
I know
Uh,
it's so much
maybe,
dude. IDP is so fun because those defensive guys, you can just get them. You just gotta keep your ear to the ground and just go get them.
yeah, maybe I'll go snag him real quick in on the waivers. But there you have it. There's our IDP League draft wrapped up. That one's a lot of fun. Love being able to add the defensive players, and it just adds a whole new dynamic.
Yeah, it is fun. I give full wrap up because I love to extend episodes very too long. So this total of 10 IDP players in this
Okay.
draft this year. We had three linebackers, we had a defensive back, and six D line. Some of those are going to be edge guys. Um, pretty good peppering out throughout the second, third, fourth, fifth round. Just comparing it straight across to last year when we had 14 total IDP players picked.
Hmm.
A little more top heavy, more picks in the second and the third round as compared to this year. And that positional shakeout was six linebackers, so definitely more linebacker heavy last year. There was four defensive line and then four DBs, a lot of DBs. And I think we all remember some pretty awesome DBs coming through last year. And then, yeah, that's kind of just funny. And then we've seen the first waivers for this league go through
Yeah.
and a ton of safeties were snagged up. I got
Mhm.
Watts like that. I missed out on my bid there for Starks.
Me too.
Danny, always, dude. I swear he's paying a sleeper subscription to get those fab bids early because that guy's always getting it. But
Yeah.
it was just fun. I'm looking forward to this year. IDP, you got me. Looking forward to doing a little more IDP analysis as the summer goes on.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I can't wait. And you'll have to wait a little bit, though, for us to get around to it. But until then, we've been Rough Draft Research. You've been the audience, and we'll see you next time.
Hell yeah! Thanks for listening.